I want to start out by talking to you guys about what is Microsoft 365, since it is a part of the Teams suite. The Microsoft 365, Teams is a part of the Microsoft 365 suite. What Microsoft has done is, we have been using Outlook and Word and Excel for years in the business world. Now we're getting introductions to other applications, but Microsoft is the premier application for companies to use. And what they have done is, instead of having to be at the office and needing to be connected on your guys' network, now you can connect to your Office applications and your Microsoft 365 applications wherever you have internet access on any device. With that integration between the applications, you now have integration with inside of your workstation. We'll touch on that a little bit later on down the road, but we're moving into the world of, remote, and this is great for granting everyone access to the information they need and which is allowed by their company. The brief high-level overview, the agenda is we're going to go over some one-on-one collaboration, Teams creation, some collaboration, and some app integration features. We'll touch on all these topics here. What is Teams? This is where you can work together with your teammates. You have your chat, you have your file repository, you get a calendar, you get several different applications so that you can collaborate with teams. And whenever you create a team, there's always a general channel. There's always a file channel. And inside of these channels, you have different settings that you can manage access for people. Whenever you are going to create a team, there's a few things that you want to consider when creating a team. Who needs access to your content that you're trying to collaborate on? Is this going to be a private team, or is it going to be a public team so everyone can access that information? Then once you create that team, or if you already have teams and you're actively in there, should it be a new team or should it be a channel that needs to be created? And I'm going to play this little tutorial here. Microsoft is fantastic about creating these little links here. And I don't know why. There we go. Let me know if you cannot hear this.
When working as a team,
are you able to hear?
It can be hard.
Are you guys able to hear the audio on that?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
To know how to bring everyone together, where to share information, or how to keep track of the conversation over time. That's where teams and channels come in. It's your space for collaboration in Microsoft Teams. A team is a broad group of people that work together to get something done, such as a major company initiative, specialized projects, or even just for fun. A channel is like a central hub for a specific area within the larger team, where people can hold focused conversations. For example, you could create a team for an upcoming launch with a channel for design, marketing, or budget to bring together people from across your organization or even outside of it. Think of it as a dedicated workspace to post announcements, hold meetings, share updates, and find files and information. Here are a few tips to get teams and channels to work for you. After you create a team, you can add a channel. Add details and decide between a standard channel, a place that's visible to everyone in the team, or a private one, where only invited people can view it and have access. Once you're in a channel, create a post, choose the type you want, format it, and mention an individual or the channel to get someone's attention. Then, try adding an image or a file to increase participation, and when you're ready, post it. When someone shares a file, it will be found in the Files tab. With all relevant files organized in one central place, You no longer need to dig through emails, folders, or messages to find what you need. Teams and Channels gives you and your colleagues a space to share thoughts, organize information, and achieve more together, leading to more openness and inclusivity, so everyone can bring their best ideas to the table.
Microsoft does such a great job at their videos. It's just so explanatory, helps out when they're trying to send out information. Sometimes it's not specific to your needs, but they have just tons of great tutorials in there. We're going to move on to the Teams channels. They did highlight and talk about Teams channels, but I want to make sure that I've provided you guys this information inside of the slideshow. What are those Teams channels? More or less, like we have several channels, well, teams, but then we think about, do we need to create a whole new team for what we're trying to, the information we're trying to collaborate on or trying to put out? The announcements part we have inside of our organization, we have where we are doing cheers for peers. So we're congratulating people on the work that they're doing. We have client updates, a channel for that. And it all falls with underneath of our integrity organization channel team. And then those channels fall below it. You can also create those sub channels below. Say that you have a sales team and your sales manager has one-on-one meetings with each one of the team members. You can have all of your members a part of the sales team. And then below that, you could have, if it's going to be, Shelly is the manager and Shelly is going to be meeting with David. And then Shelly's going to be meeting with each one of those members. So she could create a channel for each one of those members so they can store their files, they can chat back and forth, and that's all private between them without going outside of their sales team and that communication inside of there. Along with this, I do want to point out that whenever you do create a team, you are getting a email address with that. So if you create a team called sales@integrityts.com, then it's a team called sales, then you will have that email address as sales@integrityts.com. With that, whenever I want to send a message to any of the sales members, I can choose the @ sign and then type in the word sales and send a message to the sales team that will alert everybody. You can even do the @ sign to communicate with just specific people. But whenever you are scheduling a meeting invite, and if you have a sales team has 15 people on there, you don't have to type in all 15 people in there. You can invite the sales team by typing their name into that invite. Makes it a little bit smoother process and eliminates some redundancy. Before, we used to manage that by using distribution list or the distribution groups for creating groups for our email. Microsoft has simplified that by whenever you do create that team, you get that feature built in with that team. Each one of your channels have different settings that you can control as an owner. A lot of people, you can go in there, you can add your members, as you can see in this members tab here, you can add in your members. This is not excluded to your people inside of your organization. You can even include people outside of your organization if your company allows that. So you would just enter in their email address and you can say what they can and cannot do. Underneath of that settings area, this is where you want to say, what can they do? Do I want to allow guests, to make changes? And each one of these settings here are expandable. So you can go in and say who can do what. If you guys are wanting to eliminate, if somebody's abusing the fun stuff, which is the memes and the GIFs or the stickers, you can turn those off. The tagging, it's not used very often, but you can apply some tags like from the other applications. So if you have a third-party app integrated, you can tag that app inside of there. But primarily, the owners have access to this portion of the settings. Everyone else will just be able to see the members portion, and they will not be able to add or edit those features. Any questions? Okay.
No.
All right, so we're just going to go into this Teams chat collaboration here. This is another good one I really like.
Channel conversations in Microsoft Teams are great, but sometimes you need to collaborate with a smaller group or talk privately. In chat, you can have one-to-one or group chats with people. To start a new chat, select the New Chat icon at the top of your chat list. Then type in the name or names of who you want to reach. To name a group chat, select the down arrow to the right of the controls and enter a name in the group name field. You'll see the name at the top of the group chat, which makes it easier to find later. To rename a group chat, select Name Group Chat at any point. On the left, there's a list of your most recent conversations. When you want quick access to a chat, select More Options, Pin. This keeps it visible in the pinned list. You can pin up to 15 chats. And select More Options, Unpin to remove it from the pinned list.
Okay, we're going to go on to this file sharing one.
There are different ways to find, store, and share files to collaborate in Microsoft Teams. Need to work on a file together? Go to the file you want, select More Attachment Options, the 3 dots, to choose where to open it. In Teams, in the app, or in a browser. Work on a file at the same time as your teammates for real-time collaboration. Turn a file into a tab so it's immediately visible to everyone in a channel. Choose a file and select More Attachment Options, the 3 dots. Make this a tab. Use the Files tab to find, organize, and share files in a channel. Want to pin a file so it's at the top of the Files tab? Choose one, select Show Actions, the 3 dots, pin to top. Select Upload to add a file or folder to the channel, and a copy of it appears in your Files tab. Any team member can open the file you added, and there's no need to upload another version and create duplicates. If you want to share a file, choose one and select Copy Link to create a link. Select a permission level if you want. When you're ready, share the link with a teammate in a chat or post.
Most of our clients who are using Teams and when we implement them using Teams, we migrate their files to that general and the Files tab. So whenever they click on the files, those files will show up there. I do like that they show that if you post a file inside of the chat, that it does show up underneath that Files tab, but that's not the only way to get those files. We do the data migration, so if it's on your file server or if you're using Google and moving over to Teams, that file structure can remain the same inside of your new team. And granted everyone has access, they'll be able to see those files inside of that team and the general channel, and then underneath of that Files tab. I can't see you guys, but I wanted to know who is actually utilizing Teams right now. Is it anybody?
Yes, about half of us.
What are you using it for right now?
File sharing, mainly.
Instant messaging.
Okay.
To talk with international clients.
Okay. just the chatting back and forth with the international clients, or are you also like just upload, are you doing the collaboration with the files, or?
Yeah, they actually use it to make reservations with us. So they share their
Right.
files with us, and it was easier than trying to email, and it's the collaborative.
That's great to hear. Great to hear. I hope I will touch on some topics, especially be thinking about some things that you would like for me to demonstrate if there's something specific that you've been struggling with. I also like that the scheduling the meetings with inside of Teams. I had brought that up by just simplifying by utilizing whoever's a member and using that group email to send out those meeting requests. Very helpful. There's also several other ways to do it. And I promise the whole presentation is not Microsoft videos, but these ones were like, these are my go-to ones that I really like
Want to
to
turn
share
a
with
team
people.
conversation into a quick meeting? You can do that. In Teams, select Meet to start a meeting. Or to keep the context of a specific conversation, first select Reply, Meet, under where you would type your reply. In the video preview, you can toggle on your camera and microphone. And set up your microphone and speaker. Give the meeting a name, and select Join Now. Select Show Participants to invite people anytime. Type their name or phone number into the box, and select Request to Join on who you want to invite. You'll see people you invite as they prepare to join the meeting. To record your meeting, select More Actions, Start Recording. To share some content from your computer, open the Share Content tray and select the content you want to show. When your meeting's done, find your recorded video where you first started your meeting in Teams. You can view, edit, and share this recorded meeting with others.
I do want to make mention of the recorded meeting portion. If you are in a meeting with people who are not inside of your organization and they go back to click on that meeting invite, they are not allowed to, they don't have access to view that meeting from that, that video from that session. And some of our experiences there. So we have had to upload it and send it as a link in some cases, but there have been several reports that external people have not been able to view those meetings, the recorded meetings, or get to the transcription and some of the notes features. The one-on-one collaboration is pretty simple, especially if you've already been utilizing Teams, but there's some really great features that I have enjoyed using over the years is when I'm working on a project for a client and, we're in the thick of the project and we're conversing back and forth. Sometimes email is a little bit delayed or, you're not always in your email, but you do have your Teams open. So then we can chat back and forth. So we get that notification and we can have that real-time communication. I have enjoyed that feature a lot, but also with inside of our team, we have those chats constantly going from our support team from, so we joke around and we don't know if we're supposed to answer a phone or we're going to answer an email, our support tickets, or from our chat. But chat is primarily used internal and limited with the external people because it's not our primary source. It's just during those active projects. I do want to point out that if you guys ever need to do any audits, there is reporting on extracting communication with internal and external people. Another feature that was just recently rolled out was if you're going to send a message to somebody and their status is in a do not disturb, or you realize that maybe this needs to be more than just a chat, you can actually schedule to send a message to the person so you're not interrupting them. And then from there, you guys can actually join the meeting. Or if you're chatting back and forth and suddenly like, oh, I have to run into this next meeting. Let's continue this on. Let's go ahead and book another meeting. Right inside of that chat, you can book another meeting and schedule it for later on. You can include other people if other people need to be involved. Another feature that I really like is, before in our office environment, or now that we're not in the office anymore and we're working remotely, we have that ability to share your screen. Before we used to walk over to somebody's desk and be like, hey, will you take a look at this, instead of emailing it back and forth and create another version of that file now, or whatever your system error, whatever it could be, you can actually share your screen with that other person so you guys can see what they're looking at. You can just choose to share a screen. You can choose to meet with them at that moment, or you could just do an audio call and share your screen. You don't always have to do video. Whenever I send out my meeting invites, 99.9% of the time they are Teams meetings because we're doing live demonstration. Everybody apologizes for not having a video. That's not the intention of these meetings, is to always have that video going. It's more of us being able to collaborate remotely. So it's not a high priority, but it does make it a little bit more cohesive when you can see the person who you're speaking to. We'll go over the settings on how to verify your devices. If you have a microphone, you can test out before you join a meeting. I was really hoping that we could all be inside of a Teams meeting so that we could actually test this out real time and I could send some invites to you guys. So I do apologize that, we don't have that experience, but we can still recreate that in the environment that I have. And so you can see some of this real-time features available. Any questions about just general one-on-one collaboration? I think that's pretty self-explanatory, but I'll also show you the how to schedule that meeting also, and how to do these actions in here. We'll move on to the next one. So integration with Teams. This is probably the biggest reason why I am a lover of anything Microsoft, especially Microsoft 365, because everything is integrated now. You have your Office applications such as Outlook. If I schedule a meeting inside of Teams, that meeting's going to show up in Outlook, and vice versa. Those meetings will show up across the board. My documents, if I'm searching for a document, if it's Word, Excel, or PowerPoint, I'm able to search for that document inside of several different applications. I can even search from my desktop, and that is a great feature. I mentioned the workstation that's using the search feature. So I don't know how much of you guys detest that search bar in Windows 10 and Windows 11. It is my best friend. I do not have any desktop apps. I do not have any shortcuts. I literally have nothing on my desktop or my taskbar. I go straight to my search bar and I just type in whatever I need, whether it's an application, a document. I can search for Excel, and my recent files will show up my recent Excel files. And that search works the same inside of Teams. So if you're looking for a specific file, you can use that search feature inside of Teams to search for those files, even if it's not stored in there. If it's stored in your OneDrive, it will show up in there. Microsoft Edge, if you are using Microsoft Edge, this is another Microsoft product, and you're signed in with your work school account. This also increases and enhances your searching capabilities and locating your files and your teams and items that have even been shared with you. You can search them a little bit easier. Third-party applications. I just worked with a client on their Trello integration. So they were using, they had already had Trello. They have it all built out and structured. So they didn't want to switch over to Microsoft Booking or their other project management tools. And so they continued to use the Trello application, and we use that integration. Here at Integrity, we have several integrations, such as our ticketing system, and really all it is just creating an app. Think about your phone. If you download an app on your phone, or you access it online. Those are all being powered by a single app, whether it's a desktop app or a mobile app or it's web-based. It's all the same as long as you have that same credentials and that same login. And so whenever you have that third-party integration, it doesn't mean that it's always cohesive and working. It just means that it may provide you access to that third-party application. Another client, they're using Epicor system, and they have their teams. They created some lists inside of Teams, and that data is actually being populated into their Epicor system. So that third-party apps is really rolling, really starting to become more integrated with inside of Teams also. I definitely have to talk about Teams settings here. Biggest complaint we get from our clients when they we migrate them to Microsoft 365, they're getting their email, they're not using OneDrive really, they're not really using Teams, and Teams is automatically opening up, and somebody's created a team that they're a part of and they're just constantly hearing that pinging noise. There's ways to change those settings to where you do not have to always get notified if it's not relevant to you. So you can change it to say, I only want to be notified if someone does an app mention. So in the return, if somebody does have those settings set up that they don't want to get notified when there is, they don't want to get notified for a team channel notification, you may have to do @Brandy just to send a notification. Otherwise, it may be blocked. But inside of here, you're going to see your general settings here. The next slide, we'll get a little bit more granular on a few of these. But then you also have your device ones inside of there. And it's interesting that this is not showing the device ones. I'll show you that in the real-time demonstration here. But those device settings is you can set up the checking your microphone, checking your camera, making sure your audio is crisp and clear. You can actually do some noise suppression. Before, when we were, presenting, and if you had a dog barking or someone outside doing some work, you could sometimes hear that background noise. Microsoft's noise suppression has increased significantly. That has improved the quality of the audio recordings and videos and when presenting. So make sure that you go in and change those settings if you're specifically presenting a lot or doing recordings. The other system settings I was telling you about is that general one. Do you want to get a notification? Do you just want to have it pop up at the top, or do you want it to show, show up at the bottom? Oh, excuse me, to show at the top or the bottom. You can schedule your out of office. If you schedule that out of office here, again, that synchronizes across your Outlook email, and it will show that out of office message. These suggested replies, if someone sends you a message, it will suggest, hey, do you want to reply, okay, thanks, or great, I appreciate your assistance. You can just click on that and send a message. I use it minimally. It's, it's there, but I feel like it's kind of generic sometimes. Then obviously our spell check for it to always restart, to always start up. These privacy settings, really important here. Whenever I am presenting, my status automatically goes into do not disturb. And if you're not familiar with statuses, I've mentioned your calendar. If you have something on your calendar, you're going to show up as busy. If I'm presenting during that calendar invite, my status will show up as do not disturb. So if somebody sends me a message, then I will not get a notification unless I add in. You can actually add somebody to, like if you're in do not disturb, that they are able to bypass those systems. Never had to use the block contacts system here. So I'm sorry if anybody has had to, but just want to make you aware that there is that block contact. So if you somehow somebody's getting you spammed, you can edit them and block them inside of here. The read receipts, just like your phones, if somebody opens up their text message and they've read it, that will notify the person. You can turn those off. There's no Some people are like, oh, well, that's, being dishonest about reading it. It really isn't. It's just meaning that I can't get to this at this moment. And I will get to it when I have the moment to process what you're being asked and be able to focus on that. So that's your discretion to make those changes inside of your Teams setting. This is not your channel settings. So a lot of people are like, what about our mobile devices? Our mobile devices. So you can, as long as your company allows it, you are able to get all of your Office apps installed on your devices. If you have, I don't think it's all business premium. I think there's a few underneath of the business premium that you are allowed up to 5 installs, meaning that I can install my Finney at Integrity TS. I can install Office 365 or Microsoft 365 apps onto my device, and I can sign in with my account on 5 separate devices. Again, that is an organization-wide setting. So if you don't have those capabilities, you'll have to contact your system administration. I frequently get questions about this also. What if we need to protect our data? Well, Microsoft has created a way so we can deliver or deploy these apps to only specific people, and they can only access those applications if they are part of this conditional access policy. And then how do we get to our Teams? Say you already have your license, you have your subscription, but your company hasn't deployed it, you got a new computer, or they're just now rolling it out. If you're going to have your end users, the people install the application themselves, just simply by going to office.com and typing in your credentials, your email address, your password, your authentication. Once you get to that page, you're going to get a welcome page, Microsoft, and this is actually my number 2 place for searching for files. I use this search to search for anything that I'm looking for. So that's just wanted to point that one out. But for your install more, this is where you can go and install your apps. If I click on this part here, it's going to open you up into your profile. And then, hold on a second, let me go. So I can actually view what devices this is installed, that I have my applications installed. And what falls underneath of those suites here, it's interesting, it's not showing Teams. It does install Teams on there. So if you don't have Teams installed, you can just simply type in Teams installation or Microsoft 365 Teams, and immediately you'll get an install button. If your company has any regulations on installing any products, typically if you are a Microsoft company, installing Office applications are allowed and can bypass those systems. So let's move into our actual live demonstration here. Actually, I'm going to go one more slide before we do that. And hold on, see where to go. So how to get the best experience with Teams. I just deployed this to a client yesterday. They are still using Google for their email. They were having some issues with their file server and some access issues due to a former employee leaving. And so they needed to get their files into Teams quickly. Their experience is going to be significantly different because they're not using their Office 365 account for everything. So they're not going to get that best experience, but what will give you that best experience is if you are signed in with your Microsoft 365 account, you're using a Windows 10, Windows 11 workstation. Again, it's Microsoft, it's all integrated. Desktop apps are great. I'm really biased to desktop apps, but you do have it available inside of the browser, access to all of your applications inside your browser. I do prefer the Edge browser. I used to be a diehard Chrome person, but as I'm training and even, when I'm doing testing, I run into a few finicky, gimmicky things when I'm inside of Chrome. So I am primarily Edge, and even when I'm doing projects and I have to be signed into several browsers because I'm signed into several clients' environments. I still run into issues and just get frustrated and switch a browser. It's just something with Edge that Microsoft they're just not that well integrated. And lastly, if your device is, if you're Azure, Entra now, that you're enrolled in Intune or registered with inside of Intune, that is going to improve your experience. And when I'm talking about that experience, I'm talking about that integration between all of your desktop applications, not just the Office 365, but the Microsoft 365 applications. And then that search feature I was just telling you about, your Windows 10, Windows 11 search bar that will pull more data when you're using all of these, when all of these features are available. So I'm going to provide you guys with this training. I'll send it over to Travis, and I apologize, I forgot who I just spoke to. My former contact is no longer there, but I'll send this over so you guys can have a copy of this. I highly recommend keeping it electronic so you can click on the links in the tutorials. This one right here is just a high-level overview over anything Microsoft. And then managing meetings, there's several different features for managing meetings. So that one I did do a high-level one. And another thing that Microsoft provides in all of their applications, it does not matter. I'm going to show you online here. It does not matter if you're inside of Word, on your desktop and online. It just doesn't matter that, hold on. I did not do that. I need to do that one. I was trying to switch over here. Let me minimize this. Let me go into my desktop one here. Just trying to switch over on my profile. Do you have any questions while I am getting this switched over? Nope. Okay. Let me flip this one over here and okay. The other great feature that Microsoft has is if you go into, or Microsoft anywhere, it goes telling you your desktop app, your web app, there's this help feature. If I open up Word, there is a help feature here. So I can go and get help, and then Microsoft pulls up this entire library of items that you need. You can even click over this training tab, and here's an entire library of how-to guides here. You can even do a search. So if I'm trying to, let's see, yeah, we'll just do scheduling. So I have just a general overview on scheduling a meeting, but then there's a different, like if you're using the shifts or a meeting from Outlook or scheduling that meeting messages from Teams, there's just several different options inside of here. Endless possibilities. I use this all the time for Excel because I'm just not a power person when I'm utilizing Excel. So I'm frequently doing searches, just like how do you, trying to think of my most recent one, pivot tables. I'm just so rusty on doing pivot tables, but they do video recordings, and then they have those step-by-step instructions. Very, very simple. I'm going to go to the top here, and I'm going to go back into, let's see, I have to close out of this one. If I go into our settings here, this is some different features we have here. So we have our auto start inside of Teams. If you guys are using Teams on a daily basis, I highly recommend that you turn that auto start on so that Teams automatically opens up. And again, people don't like that to auto start because they find that it's the constant alerts that there's messages. They find it annoying. So that's where you can change your notifications and activity. Your chats, there's just several different options inside of here. I'm not going to insult you guys by going through each one unless there's something specific, but let's go over here. I think privacy had one in here. Yeah, your do not disturb information. There's several more options listed below here, what you can do, some shortcut keys. The notifications and activities, this you can set like, oh, I want to keep this as the default. If I miss any messages, whether it's inside of a one-on-one chat or inside of a team, I can receive an email. I can say every hour. You can change those different settings, how often you want to get an email. What do I want? When do I want to get notified? When I'm inside of chats and channels, you know, do I want to show in a banner? Do I want some the show in activity, or just turn it off in general? Don't recommend turning it off completely unless you're part of a larger team and somebody is a frequent user of like the at sales, and not everybody needs to be notified. But that's just at your own discretion there. The devices, this is one that's really big. Your speakers, I notice like whenever I connect from my home station to my workstation, that my speakers and my audio frequently, there's some, you know, connectivity issues that, you know, or when I get home, it defaults to my system camera and I have my lid closed on my camera. So this way I can ensure that I have the right speakers, and you can even do that while you're in a meeting and change up those speaker settings, which you guys did make some changes there. You can even make a test call. A lot of people get really nervous when they haven't connected via Teams, and they're like, oh, I don't know how to do this. And so they just join the meeting. You don't have to join the meeting unless you don't have Teams. But if you have Teams, just open up your Teams and you can make that test call to make sure it's working correctly. Noise suppression, that is a really big one. I 100% say use that all the time. And then your general camera settings here that you have available here. Looks like by default, they have some soft focus and you can change those ones here. Adjust the brightness. That's actually a really good one. Helps like with if you're at home or you have a big light in front of you. Great. All right. I'm sure we don't need to learn any more about this. We are I'm going to go into Teams. Let me go into our one-on-one really quick. I'm going to show you this part. This was a newer feature. It's like doing some testing out here. So if I want to send a message out to, this is my other account that I have. You say, welcome. And it's like, oh, she's in do not disturb. Her status is there. I can right click on that send button, and this is where you can schedule that message. So sometimes I'm working late at night and I don't want to be sending a message to my team member late at night, so I'll send it to them the next morning. Do you want to point out, like if you're sending, you want to like format your message, clicking on that, the A with the pencil down there, you can format your message. Insert some links inside of here, even embed a video in here. Lots of great things. This is where you can attach those files. And when you attach a file, that means that you're granting some permission to those people. So make sure that you're aware of what files you are sharing with them. I do have a little bonus slides at the end of this presentation that you guys will get that goes over some of the file collaboration. I don't know how much you guys are utilizing Teams in the files portion of it. I heard a few people say that they're using it, but once you store your files inside of Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive, there are some additional features that you get, such as autosave. The auto recovery, which is kind of annoying to some people because it doesn't have to be saved in that area, but it automatically saves to OneDrive. So if you're not using OneDrive yet and you're using a standard file and your files keep turning up missing, go check your OneDrive. They're probably there. Those can be turned on and off, but you have I mentioned the autosave. You have version history. So people are like, oh, I don't want that autosave. What if people make changes to a file that I don't want them editing. Well, there's other controls for that, but you can also go to see what changes they have made, and you can do a comparison from the changes that they had made to that document, and you can even restore and recover. Those versions, it's usually 10 versions. You can increase that if you need more, but just a reminder that takes up additional storage. Along with that version history, you have your co-authoring. Before, we used to have to wait for everybody to get out of a file in order to work on the file. Now we can collaborate and work inside that file at the same time, and even schedule meetings and share those files with other people to collaborate on. Whenever I do a project with a client, I create a master file and say, this is what we're going to use for our project, so we have our source and destination mapping, and we have all the communication. They update the file, and I get the real-time updates. We don't have to send files back and forth and wonder which one is the most recent one. When you're using that sharing link, you'll always have that most recent file. Let's see, that was the scheduling part. I want to add in here that if I want to start a group chat with someone else, you can add additional people to that group chat. When you do add someone outside of your one-on-one chat, you'll have the option to say, do I want to include all of today's conversation, or do I just want to start a new chat with them? So you can say, like, if you want complete history or just today's. Those features that we talked about, video, audio, but then also we have our screen sharing or scheduling a meeting. Great features. And if you haven't already noticed, Microsoft loves their little ellipses here. So this means more options. If you can't find what you're looking for, always click on those three dots. It's probably hidden inside of there. Let's go back to the team here. Let's see. Actually, let me go and create a new one here. So whenever you're creating that new team, I'm going to just give it we'll say, and then I want to choose what type. You can, if I just want it with specific people, or I want anyone can join. Just because I choose public doesn't mean everybody's automatically added. It just means that they can search for that. They can search for Teams presentation and be able to join and see it, or organization wide, and it automatically joins everyone. I could have done create a new meeting from an existing group, so you don't have to keep creating new email addresses, more calendars. You can use those same people and those group permissions. I'm going to go ahead and just set that as public. I'm going to go create. At this time, you can start adding your team members. After this little pop-up, can enter in anybody you want to add in. Throw my coworker off and invite him. He always wonders when I do this to him. I haven't done it for a while. So members, we can say, do I want them to be a member, or do I want them to be an owner? You can immediately grant them permission, or you can skip it. Say you're just getting this set up and built out. You can skip that option. I can even add in someone outside the organization and then add them inside of here. And you can even, I don't think you can actually, no, it does let you know. Before, you weren't able to add them as an owner. So Microsoft is allowing more collaboration in there. And if you do not have that feature available to you, that means that your organization has put a control in place. And there are ways to allow specific members to be able to collaborate with external people without opening it up to everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and add that member here. Oh, I think it's because I added them I was wondering if that was going to happen. We'll go back in here. This will be great so if I want to manage my team now, I can go inside. I don't have any channels right now. I just have this one channel. I can create a new channel and just say, we're going to we're just going to discuss chat features. And then I want to say, do I want this to actually be private? I'm going to choose private so you guys can see what that looks like on this end when I create that channel. Let's see, I'm not going to add anybody right now, but now you can see chat features has a lock on it. they may be able to see this, but if there's a lock, they can click on it. No, they will not be able to access that channel unless they have access. So this is a great example. I'll flip over to my other pro, actually this one, CCL channels. Okay. Integrity. Oh, hold on a second. I don't know why our team isn't showing up with all those channels there. Oh, because I'm in the settings. I'm in my admin account, so it's a little bit different than refresh that one. But these are all of our different channels that we have inside of here. Our Cheers for Peers, Cheers and Recognition, our fund, our celebration and fund. We have integrity events all the time. Several different ones inside of here. And these are typically allowed for everybody. It's just a bucket so we can break up our communication.